This is an Akai GX-210D reel-to-reel tape recorder. It's the first and only reel-to-reel deck in my collection. I previously did a video about this machine when I first got it at the beginning of this year, but I only had a single tape for it at the time, and I didn't think I really did it justice because the tape that came with it was not very good. I think it was like very tightly wound because it didn't. When I was like fast forwarding and rewinding it, it was going very slowly. It was like straining the motor and that. But since then, I've bought like a few job lots of used reel tapes, and they work a lot better. So this particular deck is from. I looked up online. It was made from 1973 to 1977. So it's at least 45 years old. It's nearly 20 years older than me, actually. God, I feel old. But this particular unit that I have here has been professionally restored. It's had its belts replaced, all its electrolytic capacitors and transistors and all that replaced, and mechanisms being glued and relubricated and all that. So it works just as good as it did when it was new. It is it's a pretty standard reel-to-reel deck from the time, but its quality is actually really good. It has a frequency response better than CDs. I think it's up to 25,000 hertz. Also, it makes really good recordings. Well, I'm just gonna. So let's just go over the features of the deck. Obviously, we have the two. Take up the spools, the supply reel and take up reel. We have it's also an auto reverse machine, so it can play in either direction, though it can only record in the forward direction because it only has 3 heads for it's also a 3-head machine, so it's capable of monitoring what you're recording with the monitor switch right here between source and tape. But because it only has the 3 heads going in one direction, it can only record in the forward direction. It can't record in the reverse direction. Though there do exist reel-to-reel decks that have 6 heads for both directions, so they're capable of recording and playing in either direction. But the reverse for this particular deck is for playback only. As I said, this is the tape monitor switch because it's a 3-head machine. We have the power button here, the headphone jack, and independent meters for recording for the left and right channels, and the 2 VU meters to show the input signal. There's the left and right microphone inputs. We have a tape selector for normal or SRT, but I don't really know how that switch works because it doesn't really make any difference on any tapes I've either played or recorded. I bet there's probably some types of tapes that it would sound better on one position rather than the other while it's recording. It's also a 2-speed deck. It can play at either 3 3/4 inches per second or 7.5 inches per second. And obviously with the tape speed, obviously it'll vary the quality of the recordings. Obviously, at the slower speed, you get twice as much recording time at the cost of lower quality. Whereas on the high speed, you get better quality recordings at the cost of less recording time. So this is the auto reverse. The play head on the machine is a 4-track head. So and it's a 4-track stereo machine, so it records and plays 4 tracks, and obviously the erase head and record head are 2-track only, because obviously it's only recording one direction, but the play head is a 4-track head. So obviously when it's playing in one direction it plays the first and third tracks, I believe, and then when it auto reverses it plays the second and the fourth. We have frequency selector depending on where you are. There's either 50 Hz or 60 Hz. So obviously in Europe you'd have it on 50 Hz, which is where I am, or if you're in the US you'd have it on 60 Hz. These are the main controls for the deck here. We have this one is rewind and fast forward. This is play and record, though you can only record by pressing the record safety locks. Obviously you don't want to accidentally put it over to record and erase your recordings. So to put in record, you push the record button in, and then it'll go on record. There's the pause button right here with a sector, a button to release it. Obviously the capstan and pinch roller, which is what pulls the tape through. They have a lifter here to obviously lift it above so it doesn't go against the capstan. It also has an auto shut-off, an auto stop mechanism with this little lever right here. Obviously the tape is holding it up, and then when it drops down it auto stops, but it just activates the pause. It doesn't like shut the power off to the motor. And here's a tape tension arm with a roller to obviously keep the tension of the tape correct. And there's the tape counter up here. It's a 4-digit tape counter with a reset button. I probably paid a bit too much for this deck when I got it, because I got it on eBay, as I said, all electronica restored. Sometimes I wish I had the electrical skills to actually acquire a deck that isn't working and able to restore it myself for a lot less money, because I paid quite a lot for this. I paid over 300 for it, plus shipping. So whereas you could probably get one about a third of that price or even lower, and obviously with a bit of skills and tools and everything you'd be able to get it going, you know, for far less money. But obviously I don't know anything about electronics, so I just decided to, you know, get it, you know, an expert had, you know, done with it, where I probably would do more harm than good if I tried to restore it myself. And there's not much on the back of the machine. There's just a line in, line output jacks and the power cord, and obviously like warning stickers and all that. And it was made in Japan, as a lot of electronics were. This is the let's turn it on here. Now see, the auto stop just kicked in because I lifted the auto stop thing. You can see there's a light bulb here which lights up the VU meters, and there's the record light here, so when you put in record, that comes on. Now I'll just pause the video a minute and show you the head assembly underneath this thing here. Now we can see the heads under there. Obviously we have the this is a combination. There's the erase head there, record head, and the mechanism which pulls the tape down so that when you fast forward and rewind it doesn't wear against the head. So if you put it on play, that releases up, and then when you stop it, that pulls the tape down so it's not wearing against the heads when it's fast forwarding and rewinding. And there you can see the 4-track play head. So obviously 2 are activated when it's playing forward, and then when it auto reverses, obviously the other pair are active. Now this obviously the play head has to be like perfectly calibrated, like alignment wise, because you'd get cross-talk from the tracks going the other direction if this wasn't perfectly aligned. So but this one is in alignment, because I don't hear any, you know, cross-talk when I'm playing or recording tapes of like the tracks on the other side of the tape. So yeah, that's pretty good as well. Like I said, I have no real no skills in like electronics and stuff, so it's good that, you know, it's been calibrated by an expert. And now we're going to grab a tape and show you how to thread it, and then we'll just listen to a bit of a tape I got. So now we need to load a tape. Now I have the this originally came with a metal take-up reel, but this one just came with a plastic one. So obviously you put this on here and you lock it in place. Now this is another mistake I made when I first got the machine. I didn't realise there were these things to hold the reels in place, because before it was like slipping off, because I was stupid not to realise obviously they need to lock in place. But it's just a little twist thing here where, and then you pull it out and then it locks it in place. And I have here a tape that I got in one of the drop lots of used tapes I got recently. It's a BASF 7-inch. I think it's 1800 feet of tape. Not sure, but it has James' last orchestra Hammond a Go-Go, several of the albums recording on it at 3 3/4 inches per second. So I'll just get it out here. There it is. Now obviously you load that onto here and twist it in place. And now is the tricky process of actually threading it. So it comes around here past the tape tension arm into the roller, and you bring it in between the capstan and pinch roller on the lift the auto stop thing up, and then you sort of have to put it in this gap here and then just twist it around a few times until it locks in place. So the tape's threaded. Oh, and also you have to keep the capstan and pinch roller clean regularly, because there is sometimes an issue where the tape actually slips off the pincher on the capstan because of the dirt and all that, and obviously that's going to snarl your tape up if you don't do it right. But you know, keeping them regularly clean as well as the heads. I also had to demagnetise the deck as well because it wasn't recording very good, but that fixed it up and it records really good now. So just, you know, tender loving care, you know, we'll keep it going smoothly for hopefully years to come. And with enough rambling out of the way, let's just listen to a bit of James last, Hammond a Go-Go. Oh, this is it. Oh, I thought this tape contained Hammond a Go-Go, but I have no idea what this song is. I'm probably going to get copy strike, but I do not care. Let's just hear how they get sounds, because you probably can't really tell that well through the video quality, but it sounds absolutely amazing in person. Just great quality deck.
Tuesday night star musicians in Tuesday Night is Gala Night. The time again is 8 o'clock on the network musical Radio 2.
Now then, if you have a motor car that suffers from that annual disease of needing an MOT...
Oh, there we are, we found Hammond a Go-Go. That was a bit later on in the tape, and it's recorded at the slower speed. And here's the pause control. And then you press the start button to start again. So there you have it. That's the that's how my Akai GX-210D reel-to-reel sounds. Now, just before the end of the video, there's just 3 more things I need to show. I'm going to show you the auto reverse and fast forward and rewind. So to do auto reverse, you just play and then press the reverse button. And see, it's reading the other tracks of the tape and going in the opposite direction with the 4-track playhead. But of course that'll only work if there are actually tracks recorded on both sides of the tape, because there are reel-to-reel decks which are mono only. Oh, one thing I'd like to mention, this machine also has 3 motors. I believe 1 motor for each of the spindles, each of the reels, and a 3rd for the capstan. I believe that's where the 3 motors comes from. And because of that, this machine fast forwards and rewinds incredibly fast. So let's fast forward. See, it spins really fast, which is a good thing, because you don't want to spend ages rewinding and fast forwarding tapes. And now finally rewind and auto stop. Once it comes off the tape, the deck will automatically shut off or go into pause. Now watch the pause control go up, because that's what the auto shut off is. And there it goes. So yeah, there you have it. That is my review of the Akai GX-210D reel-to-reel tape recorder. I've been really enjoying this deck for the last few months. I've made several recordings on some tapes that I didn't really care about what was on them to begin with, so I just taped over them. And I want to acquire more tapes and reel decks in the future. There's a few that catch my eye. Like, I really want to get a deck that can take the bigger inch. Like this can only take up to 7-inch reels, which is what this one has. But I also want to get a deck which can take the big ass 10.5-inch reels, and those decks are very expensive. But I'm in quite a good position for financially at the moment, especially during the whole quarantine bullshit. But yeah, I definitely want to get one that can take the big ass reels soon. So well, when I save it up anyway. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next video, whatever it is. Okay, bye.